So I've mentioned this in most of my Essentials classes recently. It's worth it to upgrade to 365 for the accessibility features alone. They make your life so much easier, and that by default makes other people's lives easier. So really cool accessibility features, and I want to show these to you in Word. So I've got a Word document here. So first of all, if you're used to checking your accessibility, we talk in Essentials about going to Backstage View and checking for accessibility. Some people end up going to the Review tab of their ribbon and checking for accessibility. Either way is fine. But right now, in 365, there is now a new little button that appears in your status bar for accessibility. It's always checking it. So it's telling me right now I need to investigate something. I almost never open the checker the old way anymore because it's just right here, right? Super easy. So if I click on this, it's going to tell me, it's going to take me straight to a checker, which is always happening. It's telling me I have missing alternative text. Let's do that one first. This is another thing that's changed in Word. Alternative text is so much easier to fix. So we talk about in 2016, right? You got to right click, you got to go to properties, and I forget what it's all called, and you got to click here and click there. Alt text is now accessible in a bunch of different ways. First of all, you can just right click on top of your image to get to alt text. And you're there. I don't know. That's an excellent question. They've also added a button to your Picture Tools tab. There's now an alt text button in your Picture Tools tab that's there by default. So if you're already up in there messing with your picture, you can be like, oh, I get to set my alt text. This is super easy. Word is also adding the ability to fix it just in the checker, right? So we talked before in Essentials about following all the instructions underneath for fixing it. Is that flickering? We can just fix it here, add a description, get into our alt text field, which by the way is also kind of different, right? So before we had to add a title and a description. Title's gone. P.S. I'm told you never really needed a title. Sorry about that. But description, description's the important thing, and it's already here. You're also going to notice there's now an ability to mark it as decorative. That wasn't there before. So sometimes you have a fanciful border, and Word is saying, hey, I think this is a picture. You need to tell people what it is. And it's not really adding anything to your presentation. It's just a decorative thing. So now you have the ability to say that. This is just decorative. You also have, and this can be hilarious, the ability to generate a description. This is Microsoft's AI revisiting you. Use this with extreme caution. It will do interesting things. This is a pretty simple picture, so we can see what this one does. Piece of chocolate cake, well, not exactly right. Exactly, it's tiramisu. Us dessert enthusiasts need to make this correct. There we go, tiramisu. We could donate this picture for science. Yes, let's help. Okay. All right, this has disappeared from my accessibility checker, but that leaves the other exciting thing I really wanted to tell you guys about in 365. It is checking your contrast. It never did this before. It never even reminded you. Adobe would say, check your contrast, but it wouldn't tell you if you'd actually check if it looked good, right? You had to download a separate program. You could kind of guess with your own eyeballs, but sometimes I'm not right about it, right? So I'm getting a warning that I have hard to read text contrast somewhere. Let's see what that is. It's my table, which, by the way, is a preset table design. So this is a lesson learned. Just because it's a preset table design does not mean you're accessible. I hope that changes someday. And we could play around with it and make it, you know, find colors that we like. But for the sake of brevity, I'll just make this extra contrasty just to fix the issue. There we go. As soon as you have fixed all the issues, this is an old familiar screen that we're always happy to see, right? That we don't have any accessibility issues. But furthermore, that cool little button at the bottom of our screen is now going to tell us that we are good to go. Yeah. It's very reassuring. And here's the positive thing. You start every document good to go. We all start out good to go. Just as a reminder, because I want to show this to you, 3D models and illustrations are also going to exist in Word. Same place, Insert tab. You're going to have illustrations group, 3D models, icons, all the stuff I showed you in PowerPoint. You can also use here. You can also use in Excel, right? So if I wanted to have a 3D version of some sort of dessert, we can kind of take our pick. Does anyone have a preference?
Cupcake.
Cupcake. There we are. Interesting thing that this does, which it doesn't do with other pictures, it inserts it like in front of your stuff. Don't forget you have that, we call it the rainbow button, right? Layout options. If you want to kind of fix that. I don't know why it's the one thing that it inserts that way. Maybe it's trying to bring it into your document, right? Because you have the ability to, you know, move this cupcake around. Looks delicious. Okay. There is one other thing there's two other things I want to show you actually in Word. This other tab that I'm going to show you, you're going to start seeing in all of your Microsoft programs. If you have come to OneNote Essentials, you've already played with this tab. It used to just be in OneNote. It's the Draw tab, but we're going to see it in all of the programs. It's going to work the same way. So I'm going to show you a couple things with this, and I think faculty particularly might be interested in this. If you're doing a presentation, you want to mark it up, I'm just going to grab one of these here and say, oh, actually, I was going to try to get a stylus, and I neglected to, so I'm going to use my phalanges. It's not going to look perfect. Let's say I want to circle this, and say this looks delicious, etc. We'll fix that. Ink replay is something you can do on the Draw tab. It will replay everything you just did. You can stop it and pause it at any point. So this could be something, this is why I figured presentations, people who do presentations, yeah, you guys might use it too. Faculty, not just faculty. Just some different things you might choose to do there. Also, if there are any mathematicians, I have to throw this out here because I was math club in school. Ink to math, we talk about this in OneNote. Really handy thing to use with ink. And that is because when you're doing math, there's so many symbols when you're doing equations. Sometimes it's easier just to write them. Okay, I'm going to try to do this, you guys. Pi r squared. Ooh, I actually did it. Just a lot faster, right? To do that with writing it. So I don't know if any of you guys are into math, whether you're mathematicians or just math club. Handy thing to know. And it takes you straight to the equation tab. You're already where you need to be. So you're going to see this in Excel, Word, PowerPoint, if you ever want to do an equation in PowerPoint. You never know. One more thing I want to show you. This is not a new thing, actually. It's going to be in your status bar. This is actually an old feature that they're kind of pushing more recently. So if you haven't, you probably haven't heard of it, even if it's been around. It's called Focus. And it seems super simple, but I've actually found it really helpful. I've been using it a lot lately. So basically the idea behind Focus is it gets rid of all of the mess around you. So you can focus in on just reading your Word document. Proofreading, it's great for proofreading. You would be surprised. When I first saw this, I'm like, what's the big deal? I don't have a ribbon, so what? But actually, it really does help me focus in on what I'm doing. You can still interact and type in here if you want to, right? You can still do your thing. But it's basically getting rid of all that extra stuff. So, wanted to make sure you guys knew about it. You're going to see it in your status bar. I see some people excited about it. That makes me happy.
You just hit escape to get back to the normal view.
Yes, sir. Escape. There's also a little tiny X in the upper right that'll put you out. So it's a little more apparent when you're on the computer. But yeah, there's a little X there as well. Okay.